The clock has officially run out. For years, we've seen the warnings, the annoying pop-ups in the corner of our screens, and the frantic tech articles telling us that the end was near. But today, it is no longer a distant threat. Microsoft has pulled the trigger, effectively ending the era of Windows 10 as we know it, and the fallout is going to be massive. We are looking at millions, possibly hundreds of millions of perfectly functional computers that are about to become a liability in the next 30 days. If you are watching this on a Windows 10 machine, you are standing on a digital sinking ship. But it isn't just about security updates or bug fixes. This is a fundamental shift in the tech landscape that is designed to force you into a hardware upgrade you might not need and definitely didn't ask for. Today, we are breaking down the secret timeline that Microsoft is following, the reality of the security risks that are about to hit your desktop, and the controversial hardware lockouts that are making your high-end PC obsolete overnight. If you want to know how to keep your data safe without spending $1,000 on a new laptop, you need to pay very close attention to what comes next. Windows 10 was supposed to be the last version of Windows. Remember that promise? Back in 2015, Microsoft executives stood on stage and told us the world was moving to Windows as a service. No more big disruptive upgrades every few years. No more leaving hardware behind. But then Windows 11 happened. And with it came the infamous TPM 2.0 requirement. Suddenly, an 8th-generation Intel processor was the bare minimum, and billions of dollars worth of high-performance machinery was cast aside. Fast forward to now, and that transition has hit a wall. Millions of users simply refuse to move. And now Microsoft is taking the most aggressive stance in their history to dismantle the Windows 10 ecosystem. Within the next 30 days, the final standard security patches will roll out for many versions of the OS, leaving the door wide open for every exploit, every bit of malware, and every hacker group that has been waiting for this exact moment to strike. This isn't just a software update issue. This is an environmental and economic catastrophe. Imagine the sheer volume of electronic waste being generated because a software giant decided that a chip from 2017 isn't secure enough anymore. We are talking about laptops used by students, desktops used by small businesses, and infrastructure used by hospitals. When Microsoft stops sending those security signals, those machines become vulnerable targets. If a bank is running Windows 10 and they can't afford to replace 5,000 computers in a month, they are facing a security crisis that could compromise your data. This is what we call a forced refresh cycle, and it's one of the most anti-consumer moves we've seen in the tech industry in decades. Let's talk about the security reality. Many people think that because they have an antivirus or because they are careful online, they don't need OS updates. That is a dangerous misconception. Operating system updates fix deep kernel-level vulnerabilities that an antivirus can't touch. Hackers have been stockpiling zero-day exploits specifically for the day Windows 10 goes unsupported. They know that once the patches stop, those holes will never be plugged. It's like living in a house where the manufacturer suddenly decides they will no longer provide locks for the front door. Eventually, someone is going to walk in. Within 30 days of that final patch, we expect to see a surge in ransomware attacks specifically targeting legacy Windows 10 systems. But why is Microsoft doing this so aggressively? The answer is twofold, and it involves something we've heard a lot about lately: AI and cloud revenue. Windows 11 is built from the ground up to be a telemetry and AI machine. It wants to track how you use your apps. It wants to integrate Copilot into every keystroke, and it wants you signed into a Microsoft account at all times. Windows 10, by comparison, grew up in an era where you could still have a local account and a modicum of privacy. By ending support for Windows 10, Microsoft is essentially forcing the entire world into their new data collection funnel. They want your data to train their models, and they want you in their subscription ecosystem. If you stay on Windows 10, you are a ghost in their machine. They can't monetize you as effectively. The internal chaos at Microsoft is also worth noting. Reports suggest that the Windows team has been gutted by layoffs and restructured to focus almost entirely on AI integration. This means there simply isn't anyone left to maintain the complex legacy code of Windows 10. They are burning the bridge behind them so they don't have to look back. But the bridge is still full of people. Many users have reached out saying that their Windows 10 machines are still faster and more reliable than the Windows 11 counterparts they use at work. It feels like we are being punished for having hardware that actually lasts. Now let's look at the hardware lockout. This is the part that really stings. Many of you have PCs with 32 or 64 gigabytes of RAM, powerful dedicated graphics cards, and blazing fast SSDs. You can run the latest games, you can edit 4K video, and your machine feels like new, but because your CPU doesn't support a specific instruction set, or doesn't have a specific security chip enabled, Microsoft says it's trash. This is artificial obsolescence. We know it's artificial because there are simple registry hacks that allow Windows 11 to run perfectly on older hardware. I've seen Windows 11 running on a 10-year-old processor with no performance hits. So if the hardware can run it, why the lockout? It's simple. Microsoft needs to sell new licenses, and their hardware partners like Dell and HP need you to buy new laptops. It's a coordinated push to restart the money wheel. Millions of PCs will break in the sense that they will become unusable for online tasks. If you can't trust your computer to handle a credit card transaction or a bank login without being intercepted by unpatched malware, the computer is effectively broken for the modern world. Within 30 days, the major browser developers like Google and even Microsoft with Edge will start showing warnings that your OS is out of date. Eventually, they will stop supporting Windows 10 altogether. That means no more web security, no more modern website rendering, and a slow decline into a digital graveyard. So what are your options? You have 3 paths, and none of them are perfect. The first path is the most expensive: buy a new PC. This is what Microsoft wants. You get Windows 11, you get the AI features, and you get a bill for $1,000. The second path is the technical path. Bypass the requirements. You can use tools to force Windows 11 onto your old hardware. While this works now, Microsoft has already started showing watermarks on the desktop of unsupported systems, and they've hinted that they might stop providing updates to those unsupported installs in the future. It's a cat and mouse game that could leave you jammed up later. The third path is the one that is gaining a lot of momentum right now: leaving Windows altogether. For the first time in history, Linux is becoming a viable and even user-friendly option for the average person, with the Steam Deck proving that Linux can handle high-end gaming and distributions like Linux Mint or Zorin OS, looking almost exactly like Windows 10. Many people are deciding that if Microsoft doesn't want their hardware, they don't want Microsoft software. This is a massive shift. People are tired of being treated like a product rather than a consumer. They are tired of the ads in the start menu, the forced cloud backups, and the constant badgering to upgrade. Let's talk about the enterprise side. Small businesses are in a panic. If you run a local law firm or a medical clinic, you have specialized software that might only be certified to run on Windows 10. Upgrading your entire fleet of computers isn't just about the cost of the hardware, it's about the cost of the IT labor and the risk of downtime. Microsoft is offering extended security updates known as ESU, but they are charging for them. In the first year, it's about $60 per PC, and that price doubles every year after. It's a protection racket. Nice computer you have there, shame if it got a virus because you didn't pay us an extra $60. For a large company, this adds up to millions of dollars in what is essentially a stay of execution. The environmental impact is something that shouldn't be ignored. We are at a point where we are supposed to be reducing our footprint, yet we are about to participate in the largest mass disposal of working computers in history. Most of these machines have nothing wrong with them. Their capacitors are fine, their screens are bright, and their fans are spinning. But they will end up in landfills because of a software decision. This is a failure of tech ethics. We should be advocating for a world where software is designed to extend the life of hardware, not terminate it. If you are a gamer, the news is even more frustrating. Windows 11 has features like Auto HDR and Direct Storage, which sounds great, but Windows 10 is still the leaner, faster OS for most people. There is less background bloat, less telemetry stealing your CPU cycles, and more control over your system. By forcing gamers to Windows 11, Microsoft is adding overhead to our machines. It's like being forced to haul a trailer behind your sports car. You might still be fast, but you know you could be faster without the extra weight. What happens during those 30 days? You will see a final push. Microsoft will likely release a notification that takes up your entire screen, begging you to upgrade or check compatibility. They will use fear as a motivator. They will tell you that you are at risk. And while there is truth to the risk, the solution shouldn't be forced obsolescence. The tech community is pushing back. There are petitions and open letters asking Microsoft to extend Windows 10 for everyone, not just those who can pay the ESU fee. But Microsoft has a history of staying the course once they've decided on a direction, for better or worse. Think about the legacy of Windows 10. It was the OS that fixed the disaster of Windows 8. It brought back the Start menu. It made the desktop central again, and it was generally a very stable and well-liked system. To see it be dismantled so aggressively feels like a betrayal of the user base that stayed loyal to Microsoft during their darkest years. We are being told that our loyalty doesn't matter, only our willingness to buy into the new AI future. For those of you who are tech-savvy, I recommend looking into the LTSC versions of Windows 10. This stands for Long-Term Servicing Channel. These versions are designed for mission-critical systems like ATMs or factory controllers. They don't have the bloat, they don't have the ads, and they receive security updates for much longer. While it's not officially sold to consumers, it shows that Microsoft is perfectly capable of keeping Windows 10 secure for years if they choose to. They are simply choosing not to do it for you. Another big issue is the local account. In Windows 10, it was easy to set up your computer without a Microsoft account. In Windows 11, they have made it increasingly difficult, requiring internet connections and obscure command line tricks to bypass the login requirement. This is because a Microsoft account is a goldmine. It links your search history, your file storage, your location, and your purchases into one profile. By killing Windows 10, they are closing the last door to a truly offline, private PC experience. The fear is that this is just the beginning. If Microsoft can successfully force millions of people to upgrade their hardware today, what stops them from doing it again in 5 years? If Windows 12 comes out and requires an AI chip on the motherboard, do we all have to throw away our Windows 11 machines? We are entering a cycle of disposable computing that is unsustainable. We need to demand that software companies respect the longevity of hardware. How can you prepare? Right now, you need to audit your files. If you have data on a Windows 10 machine, make sure it's backed up to an external drive or a neutral cloud service. Don't rely on OneDrive alone, because once your OS is unsupported, the sync client might stop working too. Second, research your hardware. Use the PC Health Check tool to see why exactly you are being told you can't move to Windows 11. If it's just something like a disabled TPM setting in your BIOS, you can fix that in 5 minutes. If it's actually your CPU, then you have to decide if you want to bypass the check or move to a different platform. The 30-day window is going to be filled with confusion. You will see people online claiming that nothing will happen and that it's all a scam. You will see others claiming that your computer will literally stop turning on. Neither is true. Your computer will turn on, and your apps will still work on day 31, but the foundation of your house will be starting to rot. Every day that passes without a security patch is a day where a new attack could be developed that you have no defense against. For a machine that stays offline, it's not a big deal. For a machine that handles your life, it's a huge deal. One thing that doesn't get talked about enough is the performance of Windows 11 on older hardware versus newer hardware. Microsoft claims the hardware requirements are for security and performance, but in many benchmarks, Windows 10 actually outperforms Windows 11 on the same hardware. This is because Windows 11 has more background processes and more visual effects that tax the system. If you have a budget laptop from 3 years ago that came with Windows 10, it might feel like a snail if you manage to force Windows 11 onto it. Microsoft knows this, and they'd rather you just buy a new, faster laptop so you don't blame the OS for being slow. The tech world is at a crossroads. We are seeing the end of the universal OS that runs on everything. We are moving toward a fragmented world where you have a cloud terminal masquerading as a computer. This is a win for the corporations and a loss for the users who value ownership and longevity. The death of Windows 10 is a symbolic end to the era of the personal computer as a general-purpose, long-lived tool. Don't let the next 30 days catch you off guard. Take control of your digital life. Look into the Linux alternatives. Look into the bypass methods if you are comfortable with them, or start budgeting for a machine that actually respects your needs. But whatever you do, don't just sit there and let the updates stop without a plan. Your data is your life in the modern world, and leaving it on an unpatched system is a gamble you don't want to take. Microsoft is counting on our apathy. They think we will just complain for a few days and then walk into a store to buy a new laptop. But the pushback is different this time. The economic situation is different, and the awareness of environmental issues is higher than ever. There is a growing movement of people who are refusing to play this game. They are keeping their Windows 10 machines as long as possible or moving to platforms that value their hardware. The lockout is a test. If we accept it now, we are training the tech industry to believe that they can revoke our hardware at any time. We need to be loud, we need to be informed, and we need to be prepared. The next 30 days will determine if your PC remains a tool or becomes a liability. The clocks are ticking. The servers are ready to stop the flow of patches, and the hackers are warming up their keyboards. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and don't let a software update tell you that your perfectly good computer is finished. We've seen the end of eras before, from Windows XP to Windows 7, but this transition feels more forced and less necessary than any before it. Windows 10 still has plenty of life in it, but Microsoft is trying to pull the plug. It's up to you to decide if you home for another OS, or if you'll find a way to keep the lights on. Check your settings, look for the ESU options if you're a business, or start downloading your favorite Linux ISO. The digital landscape is about to change forever. We are entering the post-Windows 10 world, and it was a transition that didn't have to be this messy. But here we are, 30 days. The countdown is on. Make your move before Microsoft makes it for you. Your hardware deserves better, and so do you. Don't be a victim of artificial obsolescence. Be a part of the conversation that demands more from the companies that control our digital lives. Your computer isn't just a piece of plastic and metal. It's an investment of your hard-earned money. Treat it that way, and don't let anyone tell you it's breakable just because they stopped supporting the software. The power is in your hands, not on a server in Washington. Take back your tech, stay informed, and I'll see you at the next one. Take care of your hardware, and it will take care of you.